Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back. I hope you had a great weekend. I certainly did. I got to visit with my wonderful daughter and son-in-law and our grandkids. Had just a fantastic time. As they say, there's nothing like being a granddaddy, being grandma and grandpa. Well, anyway, welcome back. My name is Don K. Preston. I'm the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and this is what I call my morning musings. I'm currently sharing with you a short discussion of the topic of hermeneutic, that is, the science of biblical interpretation. I've shared with you that perhaps it's just me being more aware of the claims, but it seems like over the last few years, I have become increasingly aware of how dispensationalists, amillennialists, and postmillennialists use and utilize a certain hermeneutic in order to justify their futurism and in order to argue against each other. And that hermeneutic is just absolutely atrocious. I don't want to be unkind here, but it is simply a wrong-headed hermeneutic. And that hermeneutic is utilized by the dispensationalist when they argue, well, the coming of the Lord in Matthew 24 is the coming of the Lord with his saints. The coming of the Lord of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 is the coming of the Lord for his saints. Therefore, they must be different comings. Similarly, they argue, well, the word church doesn't appear in Revelation chapters 4 through 22. Therefore, it can't be discussing the church. So the principle is, because different words are used in different contexts, that demands that the different contexts are speaking of different comings. Or because a given word is missing in a given context, that is present in another context, that means they must be different comings. To illustrate, in my debate with Joel McDermott in July of 2012, as I exegeted Isaiah chapter 25 through 27 and demonstrated that it was indeed the source of Paul's resurrection doctrine of 1 Corinthians 15, and demonstrated that Isaiah predicts with no uncertainty whatsoever that the time of the fulfillment would be the end of the Old Covenant age in AD 70, Joel McDermott got up and in a clearly and obviously desperate move said, well, I don't see the word final over here in Isaiah, therefore it cannot be talking about the final coming of the Lord. Do you see the argument that's being made? You see the hermeneutic at work? It says a missing word, a different word, demands different subjects. Well, again, this is a horrible, illegitimate type of hermeneutic. Let me illustrate very quickly that missing words or different words used in given context do not demand different comings. Now, I've already pointed out to you that in Thessalonians, Paul uses 7 different terms and words to speak of the coming of the Lord. 7 different words and terms. Okay, notice now in Acts chapter 1. In Acts chapter 1, it simply speaks of the coming of the Lord. But do you notice there is not one single word about the sound of the trumpet, the sound of the archangel? Did you notice there's not a single mention of the 1,000-year reign? Did you notice that there's not one word said about the resurrection? Do you notice it doesn't say one word about the time of the end? Wow! You see, look at all those missing words. Well, let's see here. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, we have the coming of the Lord, the clouds, with the angels, with a shout, and with a trumpet. Oh, but wait. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 does not use the word final. And 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 does not mention the 1,000 years, doesn't mention the thrones, doesn't, oh my goodness, it uses different words from 1 Corinthians 15. Do you realize that 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 does not even use the term end of the age? Do you realize that it does not use the term harvest? See all those missing words? 1 Corinthians chapter 15 says not one word about the great white throne. It says not one word about the martyrs. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 doesn't say one word about the new heaven and the new earth. Doesn't say a single thing about the coming with the angels on the clouds and the shout of the archangel. And look at 2 Peter chapter 3. Well, let's see. 2 Peter chapter 3 says not one word about the coming on the clouds. It's totally silent about the shout of the archangel. Totally silent about the sounding of the trumpet. Says not a word in the world about the resurrection or the 1,000 years or the great white throne. Now, I think you get the point by now that in all of these major eschatological texts, which the preponderant number of scholars and commentators agree all speak at the same time and same event. Now, quick caveat here, as we pointed out, some dominionists are now seeking to delineate between these comings, between these texts. Why? Oh, because of the use of different words or the omission of certain words in text to text. But do you begin to see the humongous inconsistency here? So we have 4 or 5 major texts here, all of which use different words, all of them omitting certain given words. Oh, and by the way, the word final is not in any of these texts. The word final does not appear in any of those texts. So therefore, according to Joel McDermott's misguided hermeneutic, none of these texts can speak of the final coming of the Lord at all. So what I'm demonstrating to you, and by the way, you can read all of this in my debate with Joel McDermott. The book is available, or the MP3s or the DVDs are available on my websites. Go to www.eschatology.org or BibleProphecy.com. And you'll be able to read, watch, or listen to this debate yourself. But I hope you can see how fallacious and how misguided it is to claim that because different words are used, because certain words are missing, that it automatically demands different subjects under consideration. And in our next section, I'm going to show to you the utter, total inconsistency of those who are making these claims. So you don't want to miss it. We'll see you on the flip side.